Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are starting the summary of second chapter. In this Gita content summarized, we studied the first 10 verses, which was all about the doubts of Arjuna and the verses that depicted the surrender, what surrender would mean in this context. Then we also touched upon texts, second chapter, text 11 to 30. It was the Jnana fight. The Jnana fight is about understanding that I'm not this body. And there were beautiful verses that proved the existence of soul. And we discussed that kind of fight, intellectual fight, in understanding the difference between our identity in this body and then our identity as an eternal soul, and how nothing can burn, cut, destroy the spirit soul, even if the body is destroyed. So Krishna, in an attempt to tell Arjuna that he's not going to lose anything, whether he believes there is next life or he believes there's no next life, he's supposed to understand his duty. He's supposed to understand his position and individuality as a soul. Today, we're going to speak about the fight, which is more about action-based, karma kanda. That section from texts 31 to 38 will be the karma kanda fight, meaning understanding that by performing our prescribed duties, we gain the purpose of life, or according to Krishna, like enjoyment, material enjoyment. If we do not perform duties, we cannot enjoy anything. So that is the focus today, karma kanda fight. So we can say in second chapter, we can kind of divide the verses from 11 to 30 as jnana fight. And then from texts 31 to 38, we can just put that in the column of karma fight, action-based fight, prescribed duties kind of fight. But the difference would be to fight with detachment. All right, so I have a little presentation and I also have the verses. So let's start with the verses first. Hi, Bol Deepa, welcome.
Hari Bol Radha Govinda, thank you.
Okay, the verses. I really like to, there's divisions, dividing the verses and understanding them according to the theme. It becomes very easy to remember. The second chapter, texts 31 onwards is the karma fight, and the text 11 to 30 of the second chapter is more the jnana fight, understanding things and fighting with ignorance and fighting with the sense of wrong identity, the fight to understand the real identity of who I am. That's 11 to 30 verses. I like to kind of remember like this. Otherwise, it becomes difficult to summarize like a whole chapter or every verse. It's good to kind of unpack these verses in a theme format. That's also another reason we're doing like this, like the summary. So it helps us to focus on that theme. Okay, verses 31 onwards. So Krishna becomes a little bit more affirmative here. He says, considering your specific duty as Kshatriya, See, he already starts like specific duty. This is the action fight. You should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no hesitate. There is no need for hesitation. See quickly though. I have the text there. So the first word here is relevant, very important word, swadharmam. So each of us have a specific dharma. And so in that dharma, there is no need to hesitate. We perform that dharma regardless of circumstances. Considering a specific duty as Kshatriya, purport. I mean, we're speaking especially about a Kshatriya here. So Prabhupada says, one who gives protection from harm is Kshatriya. The Kshatriya are trained for killing in the forest. Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. Let's see, what is our tiger? When the tiger was killed, it would be offered the royal order of cremation. This system has been followed up even in the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. Kshatriyas are especially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. It's a kind of a contradictory statement, because in these times where there's a lot of war going on, of course, definitely it's not religious violence. So therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but is never a factor or principle. This is a very direct attack to Gandhi. Srila Prabhupada is condemning Gandhi. He wasn't so favorable about Gandhi, although Srila Prabhupada was a freedom fighter before. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did say, what is this fighting for your nation, nationalism, these things. He wasn't bothered about it, even though India was going through this whole reformation and freedom fighters, and Gandhi was going all non-violence. And so this sentence here, non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, it's Srila Prabhupada speaking about Gandhi's principle. I think even Srila Prabhupada was more on fighting side. He didn't want to just surrender to the British. He wanted to fight it out. He wanted to be he was a Kshatriya, So his mood was more like kick them in their backside and kick them out of the country. Okay, this paragraph is important. There are two kinds of swadharmas, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's specific dharma, specific duty, swadharma, specific duty becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. Okay, so today I was discussing with one of my friends, sponsees, about duties with family, and this person is awaiting the arrival of the family members and was very nervous. And we were discussing about, but in the performance of duty, the important factor is to not have attachment to the result. So I was telling this person that because the in-laws are very kind of toxic people, they devalue her, etc. So then we were discussing how it's very important from the beginning to not have expectations that they will respect me or understand me, because these people are very toxic. They tell her, you're not ashamed of yourself that you're overweight, you're a bad mother, you're a bad wife, and then create troubles between the husband and wife. They're very, really toxic people. And these people are going to stay for a month with her. And she's a devotee. And so we had this whole discussion about duty, because she didn't have the right to say, no, I don't want to deal with this right now. I have a very small baby. But still, she is very nervous, naturally, because her experience has been very, very negative. So we were discussing about this point that when we are liberated, doesn't necessarily mean that we have completely reached a stage of like Brahman and we're not influenced by things. But in this case, liberated can mean becoming free from expectation that these people will understand. Instead of telling the in-laws who tell her, aren't you ashamed that you're overweight? Instead of just feeling bad and taking it inside the skin, let it just slide off and say something like, oh yeah, I should, right? I'm overweight, right? You're right. No, kind of like brush it off instead of just reacting to it and emotionally becoming involved with it. That can mean liberation in certain circumstances. And as it says here, until we are liberated, we need to perform these religious principles. I mean, until we're completely liberated from all duties, we need to perform the duties. But even in become spiritual, when one is liberated, one's Swadharma becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. So the same duty that this lady performs to the in-laws, it can it can become spiritual and not anymore in the bodily concept if this person understands that these are not the people I must please and try to win their validation or acceptance or get them to love me, because these people don't have the capacity to. So her liberation can just mean, I told this person, expect them to criticize you, expect them to talk about your overweight, expect them to speak how bad of a mother you are, all these things. So in the attempt of, like, who was doing that? Who did? I mean, I think it was Gandhi, but I don't want to quote him, but this something he said, right? If somebody slaps you on one side, you show them the other side. Somebody said that. So the idea is to being liberated in not feeling entitled for respect, not feeling entitled for that. People who are very ignorant to give us that acceptance. Oh, Jesus said that. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Vilas Manjari. Jesus said, when you get a slap, wait, take the other side, show the other cheek. But the cheek cannot mean that if I get slapped, it doesn't mean it's slapping my soul. No, nothing can touch my soul. So that quote of Jesus saying, show the other cheek, doesn't necessarily mean go through abuse. It just means become liberated from the understanding that you're this body and why should somebody disrespect my body and slap me? But it calls, in a higher level, it can also mean I'm not even this body. You're going to slap me. It's not going to hurt me. I'm not going to get hurt. I'm a soul. So in that level as well. So Swadharma is ordained by the Lord. And this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Varnashrama Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashram Dharma, or specific duties in terms of specific modes of nature obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with orders of higher authority serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. I'm also thinking of example of Prahlad Maharaj. He tried to be obedient to his father, and he was trying to tell the father what he knew. Hare Krishna Kushbu, welcome. He tried to, he was very innocent. He wasn't trying to hurt Hiranyakashipu. He was just telling the truth to him that you cannot be God. Narayana is God. What you're speaking is nonsense, Dad. It was like out of a 5-year-old boy, he wasn't challenging the ego of Hiranyakashipu. He was being very innocent. But in our case, sometimes we do it to prove our sense of authority and ego. So maybe that's not the fight that we want to take up. Yeah, so this section can be summarized, this 2 verses can be summarized. So yeah, this one, let me just go back. Yeah, then 22, he says, O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of heavenly planets. I'm going to say the poetic version of those 2 verses. To man up for a righteous cause, a fighter's obligation will land you more applause than to withdraw in hesitation. Since fighting opens wide the doors to heavenly delight, a fighter is excited when invited to a fight. I mean, each of us may have different fights in our life. It could mean fighting with the duty with family. For me, I was thinking of my duty as a counselor or psychotherapist, astrologer. Sometimes I tried to escape. Sometimes I didn't want to deal with it. But it's my duty. And a fighter is excited when invited to a fight. So I didn't have to fight with my in-laws or something, but I had to fight a lot with my clients. A lot of the times, I wrote a whole book based on my clients' experiences. But if you choose to flee, depravity will compensate you. Your name will be defamed and all your buddies will berate you. So Krishna then goes on saying, if you don't perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Yeah, Vilas Manjari, you have a comment. Go ahead.
Sorry. Swadharma section that you just discussed. Swadharma, like that paragraph summarizes 2 kinds of Swadharma: Swadharma of the body and Swadharma of the soul. So when Prabhupada says when we are liberated, we are not even our Swadharma becomes spiritual. That means when we are not to the extent we don't identify with the body, we identify with the soul. Then Swadharma, we don't have to worry about the bodily duties. Bodily duties means I relate to psycho-emotional nature. Like Kshatriya is a bodily identification, Brahmana is a bodily identification. So Swadharma, like if we also recognize our psycho-emotional nature and engage accordingly, that it's my duty. Even as a woman, like, the woman is a bodily identification, but as a woman I carry some duties. So even if I'm going through some criticism due to some circumstances, what held me doing my work properly is, this is my duty, irrespective of the circumstances around. This is my dharma, this is my swadharma, bodily swadharma. So it's better I was engaged that way. I'm not in a liberated platform. I still identify with my body. So it's better to perform the duties of my body. That's Swadharma of the body. So doing that actually eventually put me to Swadharma of the soul, like spiritual platform. And then this Varnashrama Dharma is referring to Swadharma of the body, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So by performing the Swadharma, staying in that Varnashrama, which applies to us also actually, that's a different topic. So by staying in that Varnashrama, they will actually eventually elevate themselves to spiritual platform. That's what Prabhupada says in the purport also, that by discharging one's duty, one elevates oneself to the highest status of life. That's what it means, So doing our duty irrespective of the circumstances is spiritual. Doing the duty of the body, irrespective of the circumstances around, is spiritual actually. It's not to be neglected. Just want to add to that. Hare Krishna.
Excellent comment. Thank you so much. And then it says, 34, people will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. And, even Dronacharya had given blessing to Arjuna. And if he abandons the battle after gaining so much skills, and he had even fought with Shiva, Lord Shiva, So he was very, very capable. So this shows us that when we are given with certain talents, certain skills, it's a sin to not use it. Oh my God, it's so scary. When we are given with, say, wisdom, we're good teachers, we are good, let's say we're good doctors, we are good counselors, whatever it is, we are good in Shastra, to not use it, not putting it in the service of God, in service of devotees, like that, humanity, is a sin. So this is a very strong statement by Krishna. Do those fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. And by doing so, you shall never incur sin. Yeah, you want to say something?
I just wanted to say yes, but it all puts you in the right path to know that you know what you've got to do.
So true. So true. And sometimes it can be that we need a break. Like even soldiers sometimes get wounded, so they need to rest, recuperate, and then re-strategize and go back into the battlefield. So like that. So it says here, right? Without considering happiness. I mean, this is a very beautiful Sanskrit verse. I'm going to read it. Sukha dukkha same kritva labha labhau jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. So they are naivam papam avapsyasi. So if we do not become attached to, oh, I want to find happiness through, I mean, thinking of my career, my service. Sometimes I may help somebody, and then if I expect happiness through that, and I mean, doing it itself gives some happiness, but I'm saying, depending on them to say, oh, you were so good and it was so nice. If I'm depending on that, then it's not right. And also, if they, sometimes people are not satisfied, and I can't say I'm not going to do it anymore. So, and sometimes people say, oh, it was a waste of money to come to you. Or sometimes people may say, I've never invested better into anything else than a reading with you. So, you know, I've experienced both things. But the point is to keep going on and not to give up. Victory or defeat, distress or happiness, loss or gain. And we should yeah, go on.
So does this mean that under no circumstance you should really look for prestige? That you just do your duty as service to God, and you shouldn't look for any prestige in that at all?
Of course. I mean, yes, but the word prestige is tricky because Krishna does discourage Arjuna, saying, hey, if you don't, this is the 34, no? Verse 34, he says, Akirtim chapi bhutani katayishyanti te vyam sambhavistasya chakirtir maranad atirichyate. People will always speak of your infamy, and for one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. So Krishna is not necessarily, he's not saying don't look for prestige. In fact, he's saying the opposite. He's saying, think of your prestige, you know, think of your honor. So thinking of honor and prestige can be done in Sattvaguna, Rajaguna, or Tamaguna. For example, I could not do videos, not write, not do things, fearing that I may make a mistake and my prestige can be ruined because of my not having good quality video or something. And in a Rajaguna, I might think that the number of books or the number of videos or the number of views is what is my prestige, and work very hard towards the numbers. But it's in the mode of passion. It'll only lead to misery. But in Sattvaguna, I may think, what should be my prestige? What should be my reputation? That, you know, in Sattvaguna, I may think, let me study nicely. Let me write something which is deep and it's in alignment with my nature and realization, and not for the sake of numbers, not for the sake of fame and prestige on the level of, oh, I did this, but more on the level of being true to myself. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's not bad to think about our prestige. it's important to consider our reputation. How should people see me? So as a doctor, somebody can work towards having more clients and more patients and do like a haphazard job. Okay, I'm saying that because we have a doctor among us. She would relate to experience, and if you want, if that's your goal, I want to be the doctor who sees most clients in a week. Then you may do a haphazard job and don't do the filling properly, or I don't know. She'll know some doctors who are clumsy. So you may have a reputation that this doctor has so many patients, but then it won't stand long. Passion always brings us down. So after a while, people know that this person messes up. Maybe somebody did a filling and they had to go back every 2 months back to the doctor again and again and again. And after a while, the person finally finds a good doctor, Dr. Kushbu Bharadwaj, and then she does such an excellent job that for 3 years, the person doesn't need to go to a dentist at all. And then they realize, hey, this other doctor, Dr. Sri Radha Govinda, was so clumsy, she messed my whole thing and I had to keep going back. So the person may have had a lot of clients, but was in the mode of passion. So prestige is important, Krishna is saying. Honor is important, Krishna is saying. Fame is important, Krishna is saying. But fame in which mode? Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas? That's a question. It's an important question. But coming back to your question directly, the answer is we shouldn't try to enjoy the results of our actions. Krishna doesn't say, don't think of the results. We should think of the results. We should. But we shouldn't try to enjoy the results. We should offer the results to Krishna. We are not the enjoyers. Prestige, okay, Vilas Manjari is saying something here. Prestige relates to Swadharma of Kshatriya body. Brahmana doesn't care. In fact, his psycho-emotional nature is trained for insults. Well, yeah, on one level, but Brahmana does care about his reputation. That, recently I heard somebody, Brahmana by birth, taught wrong mantras to somebody, so it's like that definitely gives you bad reputation, not only to the person, but it gave bad reputation to the whole family. And this is somebody I know, that person's brother did this, and they took thousands of dollars because they said this is a very special mantra. So we should care. Even Brahmanas should care about their reputation and not do things which is wrong. And maybe a real good devotional Sattvaguna Brahmana doesn't care as long as he knows he's doing the right thing. He may not care so much about people criticizing them. Somebody may say, oh, this Brahmana is not wanting to sing songs for the king, glorifying the king. This is a real story of Annamacharya, one of our Vaishnava acharyas. He was a very amazing composer of songs. So once the king found him singing for the Lord, and he got so impressed that he brought the saint to his kingdom. And then after a while, he got this desire that he wanted some songs to be composed on his glories, the king. And Annamacharya said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. So he was worried about his reputation, but for a higher cause. He was worried about his reputation of singing for king. He didn't want to do it. And at the same time, he wasn't worried that the king is going to be upset or the assembly people will be upset about him. He was more attached to serving the Lord. Okay, she's saying, realize Brahmana doesn't care about infamy, which Krishna is telling Arjuna. Well, again, it depends. Depends on what you mean by infamy. Depends on like Dronacharya, right? He didn't care about infamy. Was it a good thing? No, not in his case. So it's not necessarily the right thing. And realized Brahmana doesn't care about infamy. again, it can be done in modes. It can be infamy for what? But he does care if it is something that is going to, say, defame the guru. You know what I mean? If it's going to defame the guru and the guru is going to get bad name, the person is going to be careful. He will care about institution. Guru, I was thinking more of ISKCON. So a Brahmana will have to care that, oh, I don't want to bring bad name for ISKCON by doing something very fanatic. I know somebody who wrote some book or something which was very challenging, and the person is clearly a Brahmana, and they didn't really care too much about what people will think, what will happen to ISKCON. And yeah, some of the realizations may have been true. All I'm saying is it's not necessarily the right thing, because all these things, Brahmana, whether one is a Brahmana, whether one is in Sattva Guna, this is a very important point, whether one is Brahmana, whether one is in Sattva Guna, these are all very details. The point is, are we pleasing Krishna? So somebody may be a realized Brahmana writing something about, I don't know, whatever, sexuality or something which may bring infamy to the organization, and that may not be Krishna's will, and it can create chaos. So the point I'm bringing is, doesn't matter if somebody is greatly sattvic, somebody is great Brahmana, as long as we are not aligned to Krishna's will, everything can go wrong. And on terms of Varnashrama thing, it's very, 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 and did I say very complicated? It's very mixed, subtle about Varnashrama. Who is a Brahmana? Somebody who's engineer, okay, is a typical Shudra job, okay? But somebody who's teaching engineering is actually Brahmana, because teaching is Brahminical. So a Brahmana like Dronacharya was a Brahmana, but he was teaching Kshatriya skills. You see what I mean? So there is always a lot of mixtures there, and it's very difficult to determine Varnashrama principles and give a black and white statement about these kind of things. But what perspective I'm bringing to this discussion is, we should worry about how my actions are going to influence my guru, my society, my community, and it is in our power to establish a kind of reputation. And as a reference, I was discussing with a friend of mine who saw some of her friends singing some Karmi songs like that. And naturally, my friend is not so attracted to those things. Now it's a natural thing for her, but in one sense, I was saying that the person should worry about what kind of reputation do I want to have. If I don't want to sing these songs and I want to keep myself in the devotional realm or not, it's a choice. You see what I mean? So reputation is important to consider in Sattva. So fame, maybe in this context when Krishna is speaking about fame, he's again saying Arjuna cannot just give up his duties and go to the forest that he wanted to go and meditate or whatever, because even in the forest he'll form his own kingdom. And Arjuna wanted to give up his nature, he wanted to give up everything. Arjuna was trying to run away from his duties. So Krishna is saying, come on, you have to fight. And for us, we may have certain skills, we may have certain duties, we may not be enthusiastic to do it, but it is part of our spiritual advancement. That's the point. Is that helpful, Deepa? Then verses. But
Oh, sorry, I'm talking and I'm muted.
Oh,
Yes, sorry. Yes, no, yeah, that was helpful. The main message, what you've just said about basically don't give up, isn't it? But do your duty, don't give up.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, the sentence which says that you won't incur sin in performing your duty. So although it's specific to Arjuna that you're a Kshatriya, you have been asked to fight. If you kill your enemies, you're not going to incur sin, because Arjuna was worried, I'm going to incur sin. So we all may have that question. If I do this, is it sin? You know, in our occupations, sometimes we have these occupational hazards, you know, we have to make certain decisions. And so sometimes we wonder, but duty is so powerful. Dharma is so powerful that we are not contaminated by mistakes.
So what happens if a Brahmana wants to fight?
Well, he can fight with words, and he can fight with, right, say, writing books or doing seminars. He can use the tendency, like Vilas Manjari brought up, right? There is this fight of, what was that? There's a fight of the body, and then there's a fight of this mind, psychophysical, psychological. So if somebody is a Brahmana and wants to fight, he can fight, but not like a Kshatriya with bows and arrows and mace and axes. But they say, right, pen is mightier than sword. So there were Brahmanas, there were Vaishnavas like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, so many acharyas. I'm thinking they were fighters. They wrote, they spoke against Mayavadis, against certain people. You know, does it make sense? So a Brahmana can have his fight. Every Shudra also can fight for protecting the master. A Vaishya can fight to protect, say, cows and protect agriculture. So a fighting spirit is not meant only for Kshatriyas. But in general, Kshatriyas are the ones who like to take risk and fight. We all have certain fights.
Yes, that was nicely explained.
I've seen Brahmanas who are fighters. Okay, I'll read this last few lines. But if you choose
I
to
have one
read,
question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Dronacharya was Brahmana, right? So I'm sorry if I don't mean to divert the topic. So was his fight Brahminical or
Was he what?
Kshatriya? Was his fight with Drupada, was it Brahminical or Kshatriya spirit?
Yeah, it wasn't Brahminical.
It wasn't, right? Okay, thank you.
I mean, again, like I said, somebody can be a teacher of engineering or something. He teaches those arts, but by his nature as a Brahmana. I mean, Dronacharya's great quality was he was willing to teach, and he taught Drishtadyumna, who he knew very well was going to be the killer of him, meaning he knew this boy is going to kill me. He knew this boy is going to kill me. And he taught him the sciences with which he was killed by the disciple. So that's a Brahmana. That shows that he was more Brahminical than Kshatriya. Of course, people can be mixed. You know, in Kali Yuga especially, people are all mixed up. We are never like one. But for example, say somebody who clearly knows, I'm a writer, I'm a teacher, they have no doubt, they are into that. So it's clear that, okay, and they're always teaching, you always see them teaching, you always see them writing things, doing things. So you know that they don't have a doubt whether they are Brahmana or Kshatriya. They know very well they are Brahmana and they're doing it. And then some people are very clear about, say, politicians or something. They get into it, they keep going at it, and they don't have any doubts sometimes. And then who else I was thinking of? Who else I was thinking of? Some people are just very clear what they want in life. They don't have any confusion. They don't sit there and think, I don't know if I'm Brahmana, I don't know if I'm Kshatriya. Those are the people who are completely mixed and usually Shudras, because Shudras are confused. But if somebody is a Brahmana, they know very clearly that this is what I am. And if somebody is a Kshatriya, they know that. When somebody is a Vaishya, they know that. They always go for money and they always go earn money. It comes naturally. It's not something we... So when we are mixed and when we are confused, usually people who are very confused are usual Shudras. Unless it's a confusion for a very brief period, but usually people who don't know are the ones who are kind of... I mean, Shudra, there's nothing wrong with Shudra, by the way. Shudras are very important and necessary in the society, and they are the legs of the society, the foundation with which the whole world runs. But they usually may not know what is their nature. So, re-emphasizing today's point, Krishna says, if you choose to flee, depravity will compensate you. Your name will be defamed and all your buddies will berate you. Repeatedly decried for your decision to defeat. You'll want to die for all your life. You've reveled in respect. Instead of always praising you for bravery and power, the people will appraise you as a traitor and a coward. Your enemies will slap their knees and tease your face with scorn. A destiny to make you scream, why was I ever born? So either you will end up killed with heaven in your sight or earn the earth entirely. Get up, my friend, and fight. So this is Krishna telling Arjuna to act. Because the previous 10 verses, he was speaking about understanding, the soul, and here is like, get up, man, fight. Otherwise, you'll be defamed, you'll become worthless, people, enemies will look at you and they'll fight, they'll laugh at you. Then you'll think, why was I even born? So, you get up and fight. Either you'll be killed, and then you go to heaven, or you will kill and you will get the throne. So either way, you have to fight. So this is ours. Okay, so I want to share this with you. I've been waiting. La. So, okay, this is what we saw the journey. See, this is a soul. We go through so many. 84 laksha jeeva rashiyannu dati banda ee sharira. So this body has gone through so many species of life. And so many births and deaths and births and deaths. So the fights have been going on. And this is the cycle of human life. Kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatana muhyati. So we do not, at the same time in that human cycle, you see, we go to school, we earn a degree, we start going to work, try to get money, and take care of our old age, and then get and die, basically. But in this time, we have to perform the duty. And I remember one song. This is a Purandara Dasa song. And the song goes like this. Isabeku, iddu jaisabeku. Isabeku, iddu jaisabeku. Hesige samsaradalli. Oh, sorry. So this song is Isabeku means you gotta swim. So this Vaishnava saint is comparing our life to the ocean and us to the swimmer. So you have to keep swimming. No matter what happens, even if we get into the deep water, we have to climb back up. Even if we're struggling to move forward, we have to keep swimming. And in this samsara, means in this material existence, there will be disappointments, there will be moments of joy, but we have to keep swimming. We have to keep fighting. So that's the analogy I wanted to connect. That fight represents keep moving, don't give up. Many things may happen. We may get insulted, we may get discouraged, we may get cheated upon, we may make mistakes, we may cheat, we may lose, we may win, but we have to keep going, keep moving in the direction of taking shelter of the Lord. Okay, this is second paragraph. Samarasa Jaladatte Prema Vittu Bhavadolu Swami Rama Nenuta Padi Kamita Kaigumbarella Isabeku Ittu Jaisabeku. So be like a lotus flower in the water, but not off the water. So stay in a position where you don't get wet, like the lotus flower, but remain in the duties. Do your duties, perform your duties. Do not get distracted by the results of the action, but be like a lotus flower, you know. And prema vittu bhavadolu means with love, with dedication to the Lord, keep performing your duties. Then,
That's very nice.
yeah, I especially like that lotus flower analogy. Then there is more. Amarasa jaladante prema vittu bhavadolu Swami Rama Nenuta Padi. Mamsadasege Matsya Siluki Himse Patta Pariyante Mosa Hoga Dhange Jagadisha Purandara Vithalana Nenedu Isabeku Iddu Jaisabeku. It says in the water, see both paragraphs are about water analogy. A fish, it's trapped by the trick of a little mamsa means flesh. So if you string a little flesh and you put the string in the water, the fish gets trapped to that meat. So it says, don't be like that stupid, foolish fish. Don't get trapped in this material life thinking that you're going to find shelter and happiness and pleasure. Don't get stuck in misery. Don't get cheated. Moga dange Jagadisha Purandara Vithalan. Keep remembering the Lord and ask help from the Lord and be saved. Don't be like that foolish fish. Yeah, the Tamarasa Jaladante is from the Gita only. That song comes from. Yeah.
So, sorry, could you just the lotus flower? What did you say it was not?
So it says Tamarasa Jaladante. Be like the lotus leaf, which doesn't hold water on it. It slides away. So similarly, be in the world, but not of the world. Meaning, don't become one of the people, but you do your duty and get out from there. Don't get identified with it. Be detached, okay? Simple, be detached. Don't soak in that water, don't become attached. And the other paragraph was also about don't be greedy, don't desire more than your share, and depend on the Supreme Lord for what comes. So that's another teaching. And then the fish analogy is another one. Isabeku means we have to swim, and iddu jaisabeku is not just swim. You have to win. Means by how you can win. If we're not like a lotus leaf, we cannot win. Imagine if the lotus leaf starts taking water, it will be dead, it will be gone. We'll be finished. That's what happens to addicts. People who drink, and they're finished. What is that one? The fish. If we are like the fish who gets caught with that little meat, then we are finished. because we get stuck with the wrong identity. We get stuck into the things. So you have to win, and to win, you have to be like the lotus leaf, and you have to not be like that stupid, foolish fish.
But the fish is just trying to survive, right?
Yeah, but it's going to die if he gets caught in that trap. We are also trying to survive, but if we get trapped in the, I mean, the fish which gets, it gets full, it gets cheated. Like, you know, the fish is stupid because it doesn't think. Oh, there's a little meat. He doesn't see there's a wire attached, and if I take this, it just happened to the fellow before me. He was caught. The fish doesn't think. It just wants the meat. But he's trying to survive, but the next minute he's dead because of that meat. So we should also not fall into the trap of pleasures which are not permanent. I mean, pleasures which are temporary, or pleasures that entangle us, pleasures that appear to be like we're surviving, but actually we're going to get killed, right? Isabeku iddu jaisabeku, isabeku iddu jaisabeku. Isabeku means we should swim. Jaisabeku means we should win. Jaya, jayesu means winning. And it's a dirty life. It's a dirty world. Hesige samsara, it says, means dirty life, dirty material existence. It's pretty dirty. In a pond, it's very muddy. The water is very muddy. So we don't want that muddy water. It's like a lotus flower leaf doesn't take the muddy water. So it survives. And it's a dirty world. Somebody's trying to survive, so they are putting this trap and then trying to catch this fish, and the fish is thinking I'm surviving, and it's trying to capture that, and then the fish is dead. So this is a dirty world. It's not easy. That's why we need association of devotees, the shelter of the holy name, the holy name, the holy name. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Iva Kevalam. Kalo naschaiva, naschaiva, naschaiva gatiranyata. Again and again and again, 3 times, 3 times, 3 times. There's no other shelter, there's no other shelter, there's no other shelter than the holy name of the Lord.
If we compare fish analogy to devotee life, eat prasadam.
Yeah.
If you eat non-prasadam, it will entangle us more into this world and making us taking birth, death again.
So true. I mean, that can be the basic principle. But in this case, it represents anything which appears to feed us, which appears to make me survive, but it's actually only a trap. I'm going to be miserable after that. I feel like a fish right now. Because every day we are put into the choice of going for something very comfortable, easy, it appears, but actually it's a trap.
Yeah, everything disconnected from Krishna. If we try to use it disconnecting from Krishna, that becomes a trap.
That's true. Absolutely. I'm saying about basic challenges like waking up in the morning. The bait is, come on, let me sleep another 10 minutes. That it's wasted. Yes, Khushbu, please go ahead. Khushbu, can't hear you. Maybe you're muted and talking.
Now is okay?
Yes, now you can hear.
Okay. I just want to know that you said ki we should do our duties and we should think about the results. But you said one thing, that we should not enjoy the result. I want to understand what does enjoy. I know what is the enjoyment, but spiritually I just want to know that what it means not to enjoy the result. Matlab, that means if we do something, we should not feel happy.
Thank you for this question. So according to Krishna, by the way, I am not saying you should do your duty. Who am I? It's Krishna who's saying it.
Matlab, yeah. Now you are saying everything now what that Krishna said. So that's why.
I'm just joking. Yeah. So this section, that verse 38, right? Krishna is saying Sukha Dukkha Same Kritva Labha Labha Jaya Jaya. First principle is whether we are going to be happy or unhappy, we have to perform the duty. Whether I'm going to gain or lose, I have to perform the duty. Whether it's victory or defeat, I have to perform the duty. And in that way, we will not incur sin. And the other part of it is where there are so many verses that reflects when Krishna says, what's that verse, Vilas Manjari, Sukha, where is that verse? I think it's
Sukhe dukha same kritva labho labho jaya jaya.
no, not that one. Another one. That one. And there's another verse also similar about being equipoised in happiness and distress. Okay. I can't remember the verse number, but basically Krishna is very clearly saying you have a right to perform your duty, but you don't have the right to enjoy the results of it. Means all these things, whether it's going to make me happy or sad, whether I'm going to earn money or I'm going to lose money, if I'm going to win or I'm going to lose, defeat. In either cases, I perform my duty. Which is that verse? It's such a beautiful verse. Krishna says, if I am going to enjoy in good things, then my suffering is also great in when things don't go well. You remember that verse, Deepa? We had discussed that.
No, sorry, can't help you here.
It's okay. Oh my God, you see my Gita verse numbers is very weak. Yeah. So when I try to enjoy the results of my action, there will be joy, there will be excitement, there will be a sense of pride. Oh, I wrote this book and there are so many buyers, let's say. And then I'm trying to enjoy the result, thinking, oh, I wrote this book and people like it. So there is an emotion of elation. Okay. So Krishna is saying, if I enjoy that, I will definitely suffer double when somebody says, what a horrible book this is. You see what I mean? So when I perform my duty as a writer and I try to enjoy the result, I'm going to suffer multifold when I don't get that enjoyment anymore. So Krishna is not saying don't enjoy because, you're supposed to always be miserable. I'm the only enjoyer. You are all sufferers. No, that's not. Krishna's mood is not that we should not enjoy. He's giving us a shield of protection. Don't try to enjoy things of this world which are put to endings. Everything is going to end. And if you try to enjoy happiness, you're going to suffer the distress. So he's saying Same Kritva. Yeah, that's the one here he's saying. Sukha Dukkha Same Kritva. So be equipoised in happiness and distress. So for example, if my book sells 20,000 and I'm not like greatly elated and saying, wow, I sold 20,000 books. This is so good. And I'm saying, okay, Krishna's mercy, 20,000 people read something I was inspired by Krishna to write. Okay. And then let's say nobody buys my book for the next 2 years. Okay. Then immediately my mind will say, okay, Krishna didn't inspire anybody to buy this book, but I had done my duty of writing it. So I'm not attached to the result. So Krishna is saying this instruction, you're not entitled to enjoy the results of it. for our benefit. And the truth is, we are not the doers. It's not me who writes the book. It's Krishna who inspired to do it. It doesn't make sense.
I just want to know that, is it mean that we should not think too much about everything? Yani ki whatever emotion right now I'm having, whether I'm feeling happy or something, we should not think too much about it. I think. Is it?
Yes.
Is it, yeah. Whether it's sadness, you said that we should feel every emotion. We should not like Duryodhan, like we should neglect it or suppress it. But yes, we should feel it, but we should know the balance, that we should be in that state that we should not overthink or get so much deeply attached to a one emotion, right? Whether
Well,
it's
the
happiness
point
or
is-
sadness.
Yeah, the point is we become attached to Krishna. So if I am happy that my books were sold 20,000, I can become happy and say, Krishna, thank you. That is not enjoying, because that is giving it to Krishna, giving the credit.
Enjoyment gives us we become pride comes. I think if we enjoy the thing, hai na, then pride comes in us.
Yeah, I can sing well. I know the verses. I wrote this book. Then we are trying to enjoy the result. Then we will suffer. But if I say, oh, somebody says, oh, you sing very nicely, and I say, oh, it's Krishna's mercy, and I'm meaning that in my heart, I'm telling, thank you, Krishna, for giving me this capacity. I'm not trying to enjoy the result. But if I think, oh, I'm such a good singer, I'm better singer than this other person, I did sing better than other people, then yeah, I'm trying to enjoy the result. And of course, there will be misery following, because there will always be somebody better than me, how they will sing. There's always, it will always come up. So then I will suffer. But if my duty is attached to Krishna, if my actions are based on the understanding that it's Krishna's energy, there is nothing to feel proud. Because what am I? Nothing I am. My skills are insignificant in front of the, for the Gandharvas and all, how I sing, how I dance is nothing in front of what they can do. So it's just, how do you say, khali, like it's just empty pride. There's nothing, there is no substance in anything we think that we are great at. That's the truth.
Okay, thank you.
And also, it's with Krishna's mercy that you become can do it, and whatever your gifts are and whatever. So it's really just including him, isn't it? And what generally happens is we don't include him until we learn that, oh, okay, I've been doing this alone, and I need to include him, because without, he's the one that provides. He's the one that was really there when I was shaking and all that. So
True.
Yeah, as you were saying, Shri Radha Govinda, in the beginning of the class, karma fight, jnana fight. As long as we are fighting on the jnana and karma fight, we are engaged in these fights of karma and jnana, it's tough to realize these things, that how we should take equipoise. But Bhakti platform will make it very easy as we practice bhakti and the taste for devotion to Krishna.
See,
to understand
emotions,
that happiness in this world is
exactly.
not as lasting as devotional happiness, and they're temporary and they're harmful to me. They'll, how they actually, Bhakti platform actually makes it easy.
Yeah, like Khushbu was saying, that emotions are not to be suppressed. If I'm feeling sad, it's okay as long as it's connected to Krishna. If I'm feeling hurt by somebody, how they're treating me, and I go to Krishna and I cry and sing to him, Bandhugalu yanagilla, badukinalli sukhavilla, nindeyali nondenayya, nirajaksha. So if I'm feeling betrayed by a friend, I go and sing to Krishna. I don't have friends. I've been suffering abuse, Krishna. You are my only shelter. Of course, that emotion of pain has reached its perfection and its purpose blossomed. Because of that pain, I'm approaching Krishna and saying, Krishna, you are my shelter, I'm hurting. And the same thing you can apply. Let's say your book becomes a super hit bestseller, and I'm grateful to Krishna. Thank you, Krishna, for accepting this service and making it, making your name known. Because maybe my purpose of writing that book was to spread the holy name. And when people got it, I'm saying, thank you, Krishna. I'm happy. I'm happy that many people are reading the book. But if my purpose was, I want to become famous, I want to be better than my neighbor who's an author or whatever, right? Then it's trying to enjoy the result. Then there's a lot of pain. I want to say this very important thing. We all have some gifts, some qualities, skill that Krishna has, because it's Krishna, the capacity, our talents, our strength, our Krishna says that he is the ability in man. So we all have some ability, and that is Krishna. But most of us are like Indians, especially. We're kind of constipated, We are like, so scared to sing, so scared to speak, so scared to dance. There's always that sense of, I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough like this superstar dancers on the TV, so I'll never dance. I can never really sing like this big singer, this person, so I'll never sing. We have all these self-inflicted cruelty, standards that, the problem is, if I want to be a good dancer, if I want to be a good singer, then 100 things will stop me. But if I want to serve Krishna, nothing can stop me. There's unlimited opportunity to serve Krishna. If I open my mind and say, what does Krishna want me to do? He wants me to sing? Okay, I'll sing. If he wants me to dance, I will dance. He wants me to speak? I will speak. My husband always says this, because he's one of these people that doesn't get stuck with these things. He's like, okay, he'll do whatever is called upon, he'll do without that sense of ego of, if I sing, I should get a name that I'm a good singer. He doesn't have that. I do. Sometimes, like day before yesterday, I was asked to sing in the assembly of the whole Sunday feast people. It was sudden, out of the blue. And then they said, please, Mataji, sing. You didn't give any class here. It was in Visakhapatnam. And I was like, no, I don't want to sing. They said, sing a Telugu song, because they're all Telugu there. Immediately, my mind started thinking, because I don't know good Telugu. And my mind started thinking, what if I do the wrong pronunciation and they'll remember me forever for that wrong pronunciation? Immediately, my mind started thinking, not how can I serve Krishna, not what Krishna wants me to do, not. It was more about my image. What people think about me. What if I make a mistake? I knew I would make a mistake. Right?
It's very much the false ego, isn't it?
False ego. It's a false ego that prevents us from being in service. And that's what Krishna is trying to smash here. The point is, he humbled Arjuna. Like how he was humbled when he had to kill Karna. I mean, which warrior would like Krishna to save, press the chariot 4 inches down so that Karna's arrow misses just slightly Arjuna's head and he gets saved? Not because of his powerful skills, which he fought even Shiva and the Gandharvas and everybody. It was utter humility to accept that. So sometimes we are called upon to do service and we don't feel we are perfect. We don't feel qualified. But if that's false ego to think I should appear qualified, what will people say?
Yes, you're right. Somehow it's more rooted with us.
Indians.
Yeah.
Indians, even if they give class, most of the time, unless they're really trained and even when they give class, they're very constipated sometimes. It's like they don't speak like how they would speak with another human. It's very like they're very like, I don't know, I don't know, the word that comes to my mind is like, we get so like, have to be so careful, you know, like robots, not being expressive, you know, not being too concerned about image. Have you seen
You're
that
not like
sometimes?
that. That's why we enjoy you, because you're not like that.
Yeah, maybe I'm too much. I'm just saying I do find it very difficult to see that kind of robotic, you know, people are like this, you know.
So yeah.
Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, chapter 3, text 39, you know, very like, that's our Indian conditioning somehow. Where, okay, it's 8:20, so I'm gonna end the live session. Then we can, thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Isabeku idu jaisabeku.